Aloha. Today, I wanted to do a quick kind of old school video that I used to do in my previous videos early in this channel and review a book that I just came across called The Complete Story of Antarctica, and just share some of the information that is in this book to share some of the perspectives of really what's going on in all of this sort of Antarctica storyline, and even go into the Arctic storyline that's addressed in this book very in a little bit. But I just really wanted to share this book in this video because I did a video early on in this channel referencing the importance of information and how information is monetized and filtered or censored based upon your bank account. Like, if you don't have a lot of money, you're not going to be able to buy these $50 ass books. You're not going to be able to go to a university system and learn this information. You're not going to be able to do what it is that you would do to the maximum potential if you were in the know of this information. And there's a reason that's on purpose. There's a reason why university systems cost so much. There's a reason why these books that hold this information cost so much. There's a reason why you are distracted every day by the mainstream media, and why the dumbing down of society is pretty much the baseline of the human storyline. So I just wanted to go through and share like how this real quickly how this story is being presented to us, and really just kind of just share these images as they're presented, because like I said, a lot of people don't have these books, and good thing that my mom collected these books, and we just went through a lot of these other books that she went through. She started buying these books because the internet didn't exist back when she was trying to figure out what put some information in front of us. She just wanted to make available information to us because she knows what's up. She knew what was up back then, and then the internet came out and locked down pretty much everything that we consider as needing to know, and we were sold this version of reality that has nothing to do with empowerment, but has everything to do with locking you into I'll try to get these, so if you wanted to read this you can kind of pause it. Locking us into a lack of understanding of this reality, and a completely backwards and upside down version of this reality based upon haves and have-nots programming. So there's your globe right there. There's your idea of what Antarctica looks like. And yeah. So this is right off the bat, your introduction. I wanted to get to the edge, or the back part of this, because the beginning really just talks about, and look at this at the same time. That's another thing I wanted to focus on, is we're talking about more land and everything. Like, what do you see when you watch these Antarctica TV shows? What do you hear? What do you think when you think of Antarctica and the Arctic lands and all that stuff? And you think ice, you think uninhabitable, you think all of that stuff. But keep that in mind when you're looking at images like this. Keep that in mind when you're thinking about more land and more resources, and the hoarding of resources, and locking us into this version of reality that has nothing to do with humanity, and more to do with hoarding of resources for the few, the people who are in control, in the know. So they go into the polar seasons, go into this whole seasons are caused by the tilt of the earth. They give you all that rundown. Same old nonsense. I really just wanted to share these images that you don't really see. And I'll get to it in a second, but I just wanted to go through real quickly the first part, because then they just start talking about animals and stuff. And that's cool, but I want to get to the formation. Or I wanted to get to the explorations, because they go into the explorations. Plant life. Yeah, so this is all ecology. Maybe I'll go through ecology so you can see. It's probably going to show more land and more stuff that we never even seen before. So this is the Arctic. They got the globe there again. They want you to see this. They're going to show you this map in the back. I'm going to show it to you in a second. And I know this angle is what it is as far as this camera is concerned, but I gotta work with what I got. It's just sitting on books, and I'm not in my space. The Arctic ozone hole. Making ozone. NASA records largest ozone hole to date. In early September 2000, the Antarctic ozone hole reached a record size of about 29 million square meters, 11 square miles, more than 3 times larger than the land area of the United States. The ozone hole, dark blue, can be seen over the southern tip of Chile and causes ultraviolet radiation increases. Really? NASA. Okay. All right. Icebergs. Cold. All right. Whatever. So this is... where are we at? Ecology. So that's going through those connections. Polar wildlife. Antarctic ecology. Plants and invertebrates. Thriving community. Mega herbs. Stilbocarpa polaris. Bright green leaves. The whatever that word is. Hookery. Gray green leaves. And the tussock grass. Alright, whatever. Fur seals are also seen there. That's what it's. And this is at the top. Antarctic carpet. Lush growths of moss occur at the Antarctic sites where moisture and temperature conditions are favorable, and there is some protection from wind-blown particles. Individual moss stems grow. Alright. Growing near freezing point. Southern ocean life. Alright. This is all just stuff. And I need to get to the explorations, so you can see all this stuff. And use these names if you haven't heard of these names before, people who do this research. Because a lot of these explorations and all this other stuff I never heard before. So these are all penguins. Well, that's the majority of this book. That's what they want you to focus on, the planet, the National Geographic version of this, so you can be locked into the oohs and ahs of the colors and all that other stuff. And don't really go into the questioning of your reality that involves all the information that is crucial for you, questioning the authority of these people who write this stuff out. First, speculations. These are these early maps that are there. Ptolemy's rounded view, 1482 expedition of Ptolemy's 2nd century AD world map gives a detailed picture of Europe and the Mediterranean Atlantic coast of North Africa, with the Black and Caspian seas clearly recognizable. Unknown realms shown encircling the south make the Indian and Atlantic Oceans mighty inland seas. This view of the world replaced the flat earth beliefs of the Dark Ages. So, this is the map that I just read about. So you can read it too. Drawn in 1570 by Ortelius, this map records the discovery of Diaz de Gama and later Portuguese navigators of the coasts of Africa, India, East Asia, and Japan, of Columbus and Vespucci of America's East Coast, and Magellan of South America and the Pacific Ocean. Terra Australis, seen as separate continent, includes Australia, New Zealand, and Tierra del Fuego. So you can see to pause on that map right there so you can see these differences and how that is more resonant with the circle, the Arctic or the Antarctic circle. You can see how that goes all the way around. See all this stuff. Early navigators, Vasco da Gama, West Coast of India. Let's see this. There's another one. The Earth is round. Magellan's circumnavigation in 1519 to 1522 finally corrected Ptolemy's drastic underestimate of the size of the globe. This 1589 map detail shows Magellan's ship, the Victoria, forging bravely westward across the vast Pacific Ocean, reaching the New World on the left. This map of the Americas was drawn in 1590 by Theodore de Bry. Eminent explorers associated with the New World are featured in the corners: Christopher Columbus, Amerigo Vespucci, Ferdinand Magellan, and Franco Pizarro. They are set up just like that square, that flat earth representation with the square earth. They're set up like those angels are in that map. So this is the new world that they're talking about. They reference it in here also. The new world is the global world. It's the new world order. The new world order back in Columbus time frame was when they called it the new world. And you can see who took the hit from all that, and you can see how they're like making in the top right, they're making like themselves out to be these great honorable victors of the lands of the world and all this other shit. This is just total nonsense. Here's your daring voyage earns knighthood. Francis Drake returned from circumnavigating the globe in 1580. In 1580, only the second time this feat had been achieved, and the first time by a British expedition. His knighthood conferred on the deck of Golden Hind by Queen. I'm trying to like read and hold it straight. Golden Hind by our Hind by Queen Elizabeth I was as much for the commercial value of the voyage as for the geographical discoveries he's made. On this one, a little closer so you can see it. The Map of the Americas by Ortelius was published in 1570, 8 years before Drake proved there was a water passage south of Tierra del Fuego. It shows Magellan Strait as separating South America from Terra Australis. The 1630 revisions of this map, however, show Tierra del Fuego as an island. I'm not really going to go into my perspective on all this. This is mostly for people who are already, aware of the flat Earth information and just would like to see some new images and some it all pieced together in one book. That this just happened to be around. It's not. We just have the internet available to us a lot of the time, so it's good to see how they piece this stuff together. So you got James Cook, 1772 to 75. Cook in the Antarctic made the first circumnavigation of Antarctica during the summers of 1772 to 1775, crossing the Antarctic Circle 4 times. Yeah, that's what it says. Crossing the Antarctic Circle 4 times, returning to England, he declared, "No man will venture further south than I have done, and the lands which may lie to the south will never be explored." Islands of ice on the bottom left. Here besides huge. Okay. Timeless Peaks, South Georgia. Icebergs, momentous work, narrative of Cook's second voyage, Thaddeus von Bellingshausen. So, these are the explorers of the New World. They are mapping the world in their eyes and simultaneously destroying the way the indigenous and the aboriginal people understood, and overstood this plane of existence. And in order to get people to believe in the mechanism of the New World, you had to believe that the world is not what the ancestors told you it was, or interpreted it as. You have to believe something new. You have to believe this new version of reality that is not so much to inform you of the new, but to inform you of who's in charge of giving you information. The mainstream media, the way it presents itself, is in charge of giving you information. That's why they're here. They're not here to inform you or even entertain you. It's to condition you. Sealers and whalers. So you can see it's just going everywhere and just destroying things for the benefit. It's all a materialistic version of reality. It has nothing to do with maintaining or becoming balanced with this world. It's all about destruction and soaking the world for its resources. And not just the world, but the people. The people are being soaked for their resources, as well as the land. Here's a good one to talk about or read. The long wall of ice. The pale light of the setting sun does little to soften the chilling bulk of the Ross Ice Shelf. Looking for an opening, Ross sailed 390 nautical miles along these ice cliffs. At no point was the unbroken wall lower than 15 meters, 50 feet, and all that could be seen from mast height was an immense plain of frosted silver. Challenger expedition. Commercial venture. If I see anything. Captain of commerce. What else see? Norwegian. Whaling. Experience and rival claim. Whaling. It's all about whaling. Look at these images. Look at these maps. This is supposed to be Antarctica. You ever see this stuff? Think about these images when you're starting to ask yourself about more land. Cold climate plants. When the crew of Antarctic landed on the Possession Islands, they were greatly surprised to find lichen there. I think it's lichen. Until then, Antarctica was thought to be devoid of plant life. This photograph taken at Fortuna Bay, South Georgia, shows that other plants can also survive there. Who's to say there's not other land there? Frozen Memorial. There's something about Chile in here. Arctic Night, Beauty Pageant. What is that? A grand concourse of a beautiful women held on Belgian King Leopold's birthday. What is that? Tragedy, light relief. Look at this other image up here. Close quarters. Nearby huts, Scots Northern Party, 10 years younger. Lake ramparts. You can pause it and look and read it. The Heroic Age, 1901 to 1917. Robert Falcon Scott. Refuge. The heroic age. This is what this is all about. Making heroes. Your heroes. Your gods and kings have discovered the new world. If they discovered the new world, they can make a university system to make you believe whatever they're telling you. All this life, wandering albatross, all this stuff that can live down there, but you don't see it. You don't hear about it. They don't talk about it. They got an old Antarctica documentary on Netflix or whatever it is. They don't talk about any of this stuff. It's only about the National Geographic version of reality. Mapping the unknown. Is there more land? I'm going to kind of speed up a little bit because there's a lot of stuff in here that I want to get to as far as the I wanted to at least go through all these names so people can research, who do this research can start looking at some other stuff or some other Google points or something like that. Maybe get some other information. Look at that. Mission accomplished. Like heroes. It's like they made heroes out of themselves when they destroyed and genocided the indigenous and the aboriginal people. Conquerors of land. Been a lot of explorations down there. Look at this. Look at this image. Okay. Change of purpose. I'll just read it on here. Long before this station was built, sealers had their huts in the southern end of the peninsula at the foot of the Razorback Hills. According to Dr. A.L. McLean, everywhere was covered with bones, bleached skeletons, and putrid carcasses of sea elephants. Today, the isthmus is a peaceful place of scientific inquiry. Look at that. Does that look like the Antarctica that you think it is when you think of Antarctica? Could there be more places like this? Of course not. It's not on the History Channel. It's not on Discovery Channel. You must believe what is on the television. Okay. Here's another. Edge of the glacier. I think you can pause this if you want to read all this stuff. But I wanted to get through to the points of the Arctic map, and I'm getting there. But I wanted to go through this first, so bear with me if this is boring you. I'm trying to stop on what seems interesting. A lot of this is just repetition. Like I said, the names of these explorers could be researched by some people. Modern explorers, 1921 to 1959. The Quest. I always like to do the first part of this. Apologies again for the camera work. I know this is just my tablet and all this other stuff. So, discovery investigations. Look at this. Look at that land. Does that look like Antarctica to you? What is that? Apologies for whoever's spitting outside if you heard that. This adds to the video. Okay. What else? This is the materialistic version of reality. Soaking of the lands. This is what this is. All these knights and sirs and conquerors and so on and so forth take glory in whaling, destroying, hoarding resources, hoarding information, lying to you about what your world is, and making gods and kings out of themselves. There's the infamous Richard Byrd. It's not only Richard Byrd that's out there. Those explorers. This is all we hear about, though. So, Banzare or Banzer. Look at what they're wearing. They're chilling out there in Antarctica. Chilling cold. Chilling. Wear some hoodies. Did you know you could wear just a hoodie, just walk around in a hoodie in Antarctica? I didn't know that. No, you are conditioned to believe that it is a death trap down there. Not saying that some parts aren't. But you are definitely conditioned to shrink your world and your perspective of this world down to something that is very, very bogus. Lincoln Ellsworth. Alright, I'm going to keep going. Operation High Jump. The Schwabenland Expedition. Ice-free oasis. Photo mapping during Operation High Jump revealed the dry valleys were far more extensive than previously thought. The operation also discovered new ice-free oasis is most notably the Bunger Hills in Queen Mary Land. This is kind of like Canada. This reminds me how they name everything like after Victoria Island, Queen this and Queen that, and all that other stuff. It's ownership. To own, just like you having a birth certificate and all that stuff is ownership over the state's ownership over you. Well, the same thing happens to the land. It's the same thing. Geophysical year. Get that flat background. It's a control. Hoarding of information, hoarding of control, hoarding of power. Arctic exploration. This is what I wanted to get into. For many years, Antarctica was little but a vague notion of, let me just read it from here so you can see it. Vague notion of Great Southland. By contrast, the Arctic was known populated area, and the far north was regularly perceived as a potential fast route to the riches of the East. Many guesses about the nature of the Arctic were wildly wrong, and some expeditions were laughable, others tragic. But at least navigators did not have to travel far set out the Arctic adventure. Aristotle believed that both poles were too cold to be habitable. So this is all that Aristotelian mechanism that they use to perceive your reality, to lock you into this mindset with these fake intellectuals who are just, written in some books. And his assumption held as long as there was no definite empirical information. However, there were more fanciful suggestions. One early map showed a magnetic rock at the North Pole, ringed by land divided into 4 streams so that it resembled a donut sliced like a pie. Some reports talked of whales and polar bears, of other sea monsters, bottomless pit, and tribes who lived in comfort at the pole itself. Early sightings, the history of Antarctic exploration is largely precise and defined based on ships, logs, personal accounts. In the Arctic, on the other hand, the distinctions between settlement, exploration, invasion, and exploration are much less clear. Indigenous peoples had been living north of the Arctic Circle for thousands of years. I repeat, indigenous peoples had been living north of the Arctic Circle for thousands of years, but exploration from southern regions probably began in the 4th century BC, when the Greek explorer Pytheas may have seen the pack of ice off Greenland. It is likely that Irish monks reached Iceland in cowskin boats, in the 8th century AD. In the following century, the Vikings certainly sailed north of the Arctic Circle but settled south of it in Greenland and Iceland. So this is what gets nothing matters until it's discovered by non-indigenous or non-aboriginal people. Like this is what your history books are based upon. This is what your graduation ceremony is based upon. Medieval European ceremonies. That cap and that gown, it's a medieval European ceremony. All of this is based, all of your so-called intellectual education is based upon one particular mindset. This is why Hollywood looks a certain way. This is why your news looks a certain way. This is why your actors and politicians and professors look and speak a certain way. This is why you speak English. This is why all of this stuff is based upon controlling you. Look at this. So you just heard what that said, and look at how they program it, because these little codes in the corner where the images are linked to, like, the little description, that's what people mostly read. Not everybody's going to read the whole book. Most people are going to read this. They're going to read Polus Arcticus, drawn in 1602, was based on a 1569 projection by Flemish geographer Gerardus Mercator. It shows recognizable outlines of some North Polar regions, modern Greenland, Iceland, northern Scandinavia, the Davis Strait, fragments of Svalbard and Novaya Zemlya. The then unexplored North Pole, however, appears as a fantasy continent quartered by 4 rivers. Fantasy by who? Who says that? Mercator is still being used. These maps are still being used today. Mercator was he was the main map maker back then. And his maps, like I said, are still being used in the military today for navigating the oceans. I know firsthand from when I was in the Army, as one of those questions on your little test that you have to take in school is what kind of maps are used. Mercator maps. That's today. That stuff's being used today. That was the map. That map maker made this map, and they're calling it fantasy. Why? They don't tell you anything about why. I read that thing earlier about them explaining, all of this stuff, and like you see in like the Sinbad movies, like the Golden Voyage of Sinbad or whatever, Sinbad, these old movies. You see all that stuff, but They don't talk about it. They just call it fantasy because it questions, or it adds questions to the way they're telling you about it. So life at the poles, managing the poles. Let me see if you can read this. Tourism, stuff like that. Which nations claim what? There's another thing in here. Antarctic law. This is what I wanted to read to and get to. This is Antarctic law. You can get in here, read that. Check out this symbolism. While the obelisk at Chile's Presidente Eduardo Frei Montalva base, generally known as Frei, symbolizes the cooperative nature of the Antarctic community. The base itself supports Chile's territorial claim over this slice of Antarctica. An obelisk in Patagonia marks the midpoint of Chile's claimed territory from the Peruvian border to the South Pole. So this is Antarctic Treaty parties. These are all the people in this system. And where's that map? Tourism in Antarctica. That look like Antarctica to you? That look like there might be some more lands out there? There's another something in there. Oh, yeah, okay, I remember. I'll get to that in a second. Could there possibly be something else going on in the Arctic lands and the Antarctica? Well, they just call the Arctic lands fantasy. And they call this uninhabitable. They say there's resources down there. Or over there. Down here is over there. Over there. Yeah, over there. They've been over there. Harvesting the polar regions. That's a polite word for destroying. I say harvesting. Mapping Antarctica. So this is a map. In the late 16th century, 1595, Rumoid Mercator, the son of the influential Flemish cartographer Gerard Mercator, produced a world map, Orbis Terrae Compendiosa Descriptio, a complete map of the world he modeled in 1570, mapped by Ortelius, which was in turn a simplified version of the elder Mercator's iconic wall map of 1569. So his son was out there doing all this stuff. A family of map makers, yet the map of the Arctic regions is just classified as fantasy. For what? For what reason? You have to ask yourself. Why? Why is this stuff classified as fantasy? Why is this stuff off limits? Why are we not allowed to question this reality? Why are we not allowed to know about this stuff? Look at this. Phantom Islands. Phantom Islands. If there could be phantom islands, they call phantom islands. If there could be phantom islands, and mind you, this is not around the Antarctic continent. This is around the circle within that we are within. So all of these little so-called phantom islands are islands that they're just saying that are non-existent, but have been, and you can read it yourself too, that they just write them off. Well, no, doesn't matter. It's just phantom stuff. There could be phantom islands out there. Why can't there be phantom lands? Why can't there be like people? They're guarding Antarctica. You think they could be guarding other stuff? Look at that. Wintering over. Polar medicine. Supporting science in Antarctica. Breaking the silence. Look at that. Look at that picture. Look at that. It's Antarctica. Looking after Antarctica. So, anyway, think of it whatever you like. Just know that this another $50 ass book is out here to make you think, act, and feel a certain way. And you can't question it. Why? Because this is a $50 ass book. It's expensive. You know how expensive this book is? $50 expensive. If you don't believe what's in this book, you must be crazy. Something is wrong with you. You know what you can do with $50? This book, man. Alright. So, yeah. That was Antarctica. And, yeah, if you got any questions or you saw something that I didn't mention in here, leave it in the comments. Like, create a discussion in the comment section. Like and share this video so people can see how far this how intellectual this indoctrination goes. And, yeah, start questioning your reality more. Ask more questions about if there's more land and so on and so forth. So, thank you again for joining me. And until next time, from all my relations, peace, love, and harmony.